Hi everyone. Before, we have learned how to calculate cross-price elasticity and income elasticity. And in this video, what I want to do is show you a way I like to use to interpret elasticities using a number line. So hopefully you're familiar with number lines, right? We're going to start with 0 in the middle here. Everything between 0 and 1 is a fraction. Everything more than positive 1 is a positive number. And same over here. This is between 0 and negative 1, so these are negative fractions of 1. Everything greater than 1 is to the left on this side. So let's use these different areas to interpret price elasticity of demand. Well, for one, we don't have to worry about all of this side of the number line with price elasticity of demand because it will always be a negative number, right? So 0 is perfectly inelastic. Number lines go to infinity, so that is perfectly elastic. Negative 1 is unit elastic, and everything in here between 0 and 1, that is our inelastic range. Anything that's inelastic means that this is a necessity. How do we know it's a necessity? Not because some assumption about it, but because that's how we behave. If we don't respond very much to a price change, something about that good means that it is necessary for us. Everything in this range is elastic, and therefore we say that those goods are a luxury good. Okay, let's do the same using a number line for price elasticity of supply. So price elasticity of supply, 1, negative infinity, infinity, and again, in this case, price elasticity of supply, we don't have to worry about that range at all because price elasticity of supply is always positive. So 0 means it is perfectly inelastic. This means it is perfectly elastic. This means it's unit elastic. Everything in this range is inelastic, and everything in this range is elastic. Okay, now price elasticity of supply is the easy one. Let's move to one that is a little bit more challenging, cross-price elasticity. Now remember, with cross-price elasticity, sign matters. So we can't just whole scale get rid of entire areas. We're going to have to think about each of these areas in turn. So 0 is still perfectly inelastic. This is a cross-price elasticity. And for unknown reasons, XED is sometimes used to stand for cross-price elasticity of demand. So if you got a 0, that's perfectly inelastic. Our 1s, unit elastic, unit elastic. And let's start with the two things we need to consider using a cross-price elasticity. Is it first an elastic response or inelastic response? We still tell that by the magnitude, right? So this is based on the magnitude of the change. So just as before, anything between 0 and 1 is inelastic. So these are all still necessities. Anything greater than 1 is elastic. So you can be negative and elastic, you can be negative or positive and elastic. Okay, the next thing we need to consider with a cross price elasticity is whether these goods are complement. How'd you do? Well, let's walk through what that might mean just to make sure. So if we have -3 as a cross price elasticity, we would interpret that as for every 1% increase in the price of good Y, the quantity demanded of good X goes down, because of that negative sign, by 3%. So if the price of Y is going down, that means going up. If the price of Y is going up, that means the quantity demanded of Y is going down. Okay? When price goes up, quantity demanded goes down. So we're consuming less of both goods, so this must mean a complement. So negative values are complements, which must mean that positive values are substitutes. Okay, let's do it with our last elasticity, income elasticity. Of demand, and income frequently is abbreviated using the letter Y in economics because we've got a lot of different things that we need I for, like investment and interest. So this actually goes back to John Maynard Keynes, who said we should use Y to stand for income, but I digress. Let's have our ones on here. So just as before with income elasticity of demand is cross price and all the other ones, 0 is perfectly inelastic, perfectly elastic, perfectly elastic at negative infinity. And just like before, anything between 0 and 1 is inelastic. Anything greater than 1 is elastic. And that's greater than 1 in magnitude. So this -1 over here is also elastic. Now what do we need to determine? We need to determine whether something is a necessity or luxury. Right? So these are luxuries if they're luxuries if they're elastic, and necessities if it's inelastic. But we also use income elasticity of demand to determine whether goods are inferior or normal. And anything that is negative, a negative income elasticity, is an inferior good. And anything with a positive income elasticity is a normal good. Okay, hopefully that will help you kind of organize your thoughts about how to interpret different values of elasticity.